O. Henry encourages you to live while you can. I discuss this and more on today's episode. Welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today, I am going to be talking about a short story because it is Short Story Tuesday, and the short story is all about a weird fog and illness. I am referring to A Fog in Santone by O. Henry, which was published in 1912. I've talked about O. Henry on this channel before, so I don't need to go into that great of detail. He was an American writer who lived in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Interestingly, he absconded to South America after he got in trouble for fraud or embezzlement at his financial job, but later came back when it was safe to do so, and he wrote under the pen name of O. Henry. It wasn't his actual name, and he was noted for writing twist endings, which have become a hallmark of his writing, really. And so, without further ado, let's talk about A Fog in Santone. I will do a summary, a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. So, A Fog in Santone focuses on Goodall. He comes to Santone, Texas, which I believe is just short for San Antonio, just how O. Henry chooses to write the name San Antonio or something like that, or maybe that's just what it was called back then. But he wants to get help for an illness that he is dealing with. It's said that the Santone waters are really great, very healing, like it's pure ozone or something like that. But unfortunately, there is a deep fog that has set in San Antonio that creates a barrier, and it might in fact be making people even sicker. It's a bit unclear in this story. But Goodall runs into another man who's stopped in San Antonio, a man named Hurd, who has even less time to live than he does. Because, in case I didn't say, Goodall has a couple months. Hurd has a matter of weeks before the doctor says he's probably going to die. And they drink, and Hurd encourages him to sort of enjoy the time that you have left. And he's kind of envious of Goodall because he has a lot more time than Hurd, and Hurd is like, I could do quite a bit of damage in that time and enjoy the life that I have left. They then go their separate ways, and I think Hurd says, I'll call you up when we both get into the afterlife or something like that, which is pretty funny. And then he goes to a bar and he meets a woman named Miss Rosa. They proceed to have dinner because Goodall is described as still looking pretty good, so they have a good time. She kisses him on the cheek and encourages him to live, like operate as though you are going to live tomorrow, not just succumb to the futility of death and all of that. And then as the story comes to a close, Goodall leaves, and then Miss Rosa is seen still drinking and putting salt in her beer as the story comes to a close. In terms of analysis, there's a little bit worth talking about with A Fog in Santone. One of the main ideas that O. Henry seems to be talking about is what to do with your limited time. Henry asks, how do you spend the time that you have left? And Goodall and others seem to have come to Santone in order to experience the good climate. But unfortunately, the weather has prevented that from really happening. And so they all just have a matter of weeks to sort of experience the rest of their lives. Goodall chooses to spend this drinking. If you're going to die, you might as well have a good time. He flirts as well with Miss Rosa, and he's just hanging with the boys. He's drinking with Hurd, having a good time, palling around, and getting into quite a bit of shenanigans, which seems to be a good way to spend your final days, according to O. Henry. But he also seems to be looking for a solution, and Hurd doesn't really seem to be interested in that. He seems more interested in just having fun. Like you're not gonna stop yourself from dying. And Hurd even notes, as I've said before, like he has even longer amount of time to live. So Hurd thinks Goodall should just, do his best to keep living. However, death seems to loom, and it's hard. It might be hard to really enjoy life if you have the specter of death hanging over you. So I can understand, why Goodall might not want to live so freely, given that, how do you live freely when you know that it's all going to be taken away from you? But other characters have argued, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe you have to be in the present moment and not think too much of the future, which is more what O. Henry is ultimately trying to say there. And I touched upon this already, but O. Henry is talking about living while you can, living in the present moment. Miss Rosa in particular encourages Goodall to think about living, to operate as though he is going to be here tomorrow and just live in life to the fullest, to be present. That's essentially the main kind of idea of the story there. But another interesting element of the story is Santone itself, because, the story is called A Fog in Santone, which is probably like more along the lines of what the characters are dealing with. Like their minds are foggy because of the uncertain future that they have. But what's the deal with Santone? It's strongly suggested, and if not outright said, that like Santone might be lying to them. Like they say they have like really good ozone, and there's a litmus test that you can do on the river, and it has like healing waters, which may or may not be true. Given that it's back in the 1800s, I probably doubt that that's the case. But it really suggests that Santone might be lying or outright causing illness in the people who visit the city. For unknown reasons. And so, in addition to dealing with the fact that they're sick, they got to deal with the fact that this community, the tourist people, the people who encourage them to come to San Antonio, are actively lying to them. O. Henry doesn't really do anything with that, doesn't really follow that thread, but it is interesting how a lot of people claim to have the answers to illness, to the problems of the world, but they are in fact lying, and those people are often the people in power. Anyway, those are my brief thoughts on A Fog in Santone. It's an interesting short story. Certainly not one of O. Henry's best, but it is fascinating for the fact that it doesn't really have a twist ending. You normally expect such things with O. Henry, but this is one of those short stories that doesn't have it. So I guess there's other things that are necessary to kind of focus on with this short story. So if you have any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below, or if you just want to say something about my review, let me know. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this short story or this author if they don't already know about either. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and foggy related travels. Farewell.